Hey everybody, it's Dave. How y'all doing? Doing pretty good. Got a question for you. Let's say this, I'm a doctor. I'm not, but let's say that I am. Let's make pretend. Remember when you're a kid? Make believe. Welcome to the wonderful world of make believe. Make pretend I'm a doctor. This is a syringe. And I tell you, what's in this syringe will take care of your Meniere's disease. Would you do it? Without asking what's in it or what it is. Would you do it? There's some of you sitting there going, because all you're looking for is the cure, or overnight cure. So let's say you turn around and go, okay, Dr. Dave, well, what's in it? And I tell you, well, what's in this syringe is 90% distilled water and 10% bleach. Would you do it? I hope your answer is no, because I'll tell you what. It will cure your Meniere's disease. It will cure your cancer. It will cure your high blood pressure. It will cure your kidney disease. It will cure almost everything. But it will kill you too. So technically, yeah, it'll cure you. So I hope you say no. And the reason why I did that is because there's so many people posting so much things that make no sense. Okay? And I think some people are like jumping on it thinking, well, this could work for me. And they're not even doing these things yet, but they're talking about it and they're saying, well, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And there's a lot of side effects. There's things that can happen if you don't have other issues for certain medications. Okay, like today, I saw earlier somebody was posting that there could be a link between Hashimoto's disease, which I did look up, not Google AI. I looked it up on the NIH.gov, and Meniere's disease and thyroid disease and all these different things. There's a link. If it's autoimmune, if you have autoimmune diseases, then that's a way to go. If you have a problem with your thyroid. Because if you take something like a synthroid and you don't have Hashimoto's or hypothyroidism or thyroid disease of anything, you're going to put yourself in a very bad position because it affects your metabolic rate. It'll change your metabolism. So you really could cause more problems than what you already have. So you don't want to take a medication like that unless you have other issues. And then hopefully a side effect of that is helps Meniere's. But see, they don't know if Meniere's is autoimmune, hereditary, or, conks on the head. They don't have a pinpoint thing on what really causes Meniere's disease. So, yeah, I mean, you're putting yourself at a very big risk for taking something if you don't have these problems. Beta-histine is another one. Now, beta-histine is nothing wrong with taking it. People take it. It says it works great. But for some people, it doesn't work. And for me, I can't take it because my body produces a ton of histamine. So if I take it, I'm going to end up taking Benadryl. So it's going to defeat the purpose. Because beta-histine produces more histamine, so better blood flow. Antihistamine takes away the histamine. So if you're taking beta-histine, you don't want to take antihistamine. You're canceling everything out. That might be why some people say it doesn't work for them. So you don't want to do that. And it can be dangerous. Luckily I know my body. And I know it produces too much histamine to take that. But there was another thing about, what the hell was the other thing? I made a video about it, so let me look it up real quick. So I got this computer here. Yada, yada, yada. It's an older one, so it's very slow. Well, it's not too slow. I've seen slower. Chlorine dioxide. That's another thing. That's like the bleach thing I just talked to you about. I know somebody says, "Well, you just put a little bit in the diffuser and you breathe it in." Well, you know what? Would you breathe in cigarette smoke on purpose? All these things have effects on you. Just for my sake, diabetes, on the diabetes side, they gave me Jardiance 3 years ago, and there's a side effect to it that people get. I got an yeast infection down in my privates, and it was so bad that I had to have surgery down there. And for the gentlemen that listen to this thing, you guys, you don't want the surgery. It was the worst pain I ever had afterwards. I've had 3 surgeries on my head, and I would do that any day besides having that again. Because there's a side effect to it that I didn't know about. And it left me with what the urologist called Jardiance penis, which is corrected now. So. But see, there's a side effect. So you don't want to just stop messing around with this shit, and some people are so desperate that they're willing to try. They're willing to call the doctors. Hell, today I went to the doctor. Okay, I don't know if you're going to be able to see this or if I can lift it high enough. See my boot? I fell a couple of weeks ago, my drop attack, and I tore tendons and ligaments in my my lower leg. So now I got to wear a boot for like 2 weeks. I could take it off and walk, but it's painful. And I waited too long to go to the doctor. Well, I went, and they told me that first the nurse practitioner was just like, "Oh, put this Valtron on there, and it'll feel better. And if it doesn't, call back." Well, it didn't, so I called back. And so my doctor, and he's like, "Oh my God." I was like jumping every time he squeezed it. That's how he knew the ligaments were screwed up. And I had an x-ray. There's nothing broken. A little arthritis, but I've had arthritis my whole life. And no, that's not autoimmune. That is another story for another day. But yeah, I mean, some of these things are dangerous, and people are willing to run with it, and they brag about it, they talk about it, Well, what happens when it doesn't work? What do you do then? So do yourself a favor. Be patient. Don't jump on something just because somebody does a Google search. I mean, today, literally, I'm not kidding. Yesterday, this person was talking about Synthroid, and today they were talking about doing a carnivore diet. Well, what are you going to do? Which one are you doing? Obviously, probably your doctor said, no, you don't have a thyroid problem. Or whatever, because you need a prescription for that. So now they're doing a carnivore diet. And all these things take time. Okay, I do a, what do you call it? I do a carnivore diet, but slightly different. I try to have as much protein as I possibly can, but I don't limit vegetables. I do have, I'll have an orange in the afternoon. I do have vegetables and I do have fruits. I stay away from, very heavy breads or breads alone. I usually will have a pita sim. I'll use the pita bread. Was it not Joseph's? There's another one my wife found. It's very good, and it's like 60 calories and like 2 carbs, 3 carbs, something like that. Very low carb. So I'll do that. Pasta. I'm Italian. Of course, I'm gonna have pasta, but I don't eat like I used to. Fill the plate with pasta. It's like a cup, maybe 2 cups of pasta. That's it. And then the meatballs. I'll have like 5 or 6 meatballs, so I'm full, and it's protein. So, I do a little bit of the carnivore diet, and I guess it can help. I mean, it didn't really do much for my Meniere's. I've been doing it for like 2 years. So that really didn't do much for my Meniere's disease. I was still getting vertigo even after I had this. I mean, before I had the surgery, it didn't do much. I was still having the vertigo and all that. But it did help my blood sugar. But my friend Allie, it helped her with her Meniere's disease. So, I could see somebody doing that, but doing a different version of it. You're still going to have these other things. You can't just have meat all day. I mean, I have eggs. I'll have eggs for lunch. Sometimes I'll have eggs for dinner. You know, usually have, scrambled eggs and a piece of sausage. Or bacon. I don't really feel like cooking bacon all the time. A little sausage patty like that. And that's it. So, kind of a diet I can see. But, jumping from one thing to another, that's not a good thing. It's not a good thing. Try something, you got to stick with it for a while. Okay? It's, let's talk about beta histine again. Okay, great drug, helps a lot of people. But some people take it and they expect to be instantly cured or instantly controlled. It doesn't work that way. It takes time for it to get in your system. Then it will work. It's the same thing with antidepressants. Now, a lot of people do take antidepressants for vertigo, Meniere's, and it helps. But it could take up to 2 months for that to work. You have to be patient. And I know when I first started taking antidepressants in 2018, it was about 2 months before I kind of felt a little bit more like me and not like somebody that's not me. So it takes a while. These things take a while. And some people give up. They'll take it for 3-4 days. And I still feel like shit. And that's it. They don't give it the time. It's the same thing with vestibular rehab, or I call it vestibular therapy. People will stop going after 1 or 2 visits because it makes me sick. It's supposed to make you sick. What vestibular rehab does is train your brain to balance because you've got balance function problems here. So it's training your brain how to balance. And it's supposed to make you sick in the beginning. And then as you go on, it gets better and better and better and better. Your balance will never be perfect, but you'll be good enough that you're not going to be falling all over the place. Okay? Do you get it? It takes time. And that's the main thing. It takes time. So looking for these, quick hits and quick cures and quick relief, it does not going to work that way. And you've got to stop doing it. And you also got to have some sense of responsibility. Like, if you're in a Meniere support group, and all of a sudden you find out you don't have Meniere's, then you really shouldn't be participating in the group. Seriously. It's like the Eagles disease. Someone got misdiagnosed about it. They posted about it, but then, people take it the wrong way. And in a way, her post I could see, because it says, instead of wasting all your money on Meniere's, look into this. That look into, Eagles disease. It kind of puts you off, but if you understand behind it, the person was misdiagnosed, and you read her comments, the person was misdiagnosed, and it can be misdiagnosed, and all these things. But you're throwing something out there. It's just, you got to be responsible. Watch the way you say things. Say, hey, I was misdiagnosed. I actually have Eagles disease. These are the symptoms. This is what it is. Explain what it is and everything. And people will be like, oh, okay, that makes sense. All right. Instead of just saying, hey, don't waste your money on this. That's like, we went through this 2 years ago with TMJ. Somebody kept saying everybody had TMJ. They don't have Meniere's. I don't have TMJ. It's not it. I don't know. So I just wanted to get that out there quickly, get a video out and just, take it slow, be patient, and use common sense. Common sense. It goes a long way. Don't just keep throwing things against the wall and see if it'll stick. Okay? And talk to your doctors. All right? They make mistakes. We all do. And you just gotta, it happens. Find another doctor. That's it. So on that note, hey, have a great rest of the night. Talk to you later.